Okay, I promise I'll stop with the "it gets better," I swear. This is episode 3. Let's be nice. Mission Creep isn't unwatchable. I actually like it. Just like its predecessors, it still has the narrative training wheels that bog it down with exposition and some cliche dialogue. But in between the heavy-handedness, there's still charm, backstory, and already the hints of a larger plot. It's often that the number of the week highlights something about our two leads, and Mission Creep does it efficiently, if without subtlety. This week's number, Joey Durbin, is an ex-soldier, giving him and John plenty to commiserate over. See, Joey came back from the military service, but there was little opportunity for him and his loyal Italian girlfriend who waited for him, so now he's caught up in crime. After getting his number, John tails him to a bank, where he immediately finds himself in the middle of a robbery, including, surprise, Joey. Lucky for the security guard trying to play hero, John stops him, and the robbery ends with no one harmed. More flashbacks. At an airport, John sees Jessica again. It's been some time, clearly, and the conversation is awkward even by John's standards. He tells her he's heading to a new job.
One of those jobs you can't talk about?
Sounds like. It's worth mentioning that when we get these flashbacks, they're very deliberately shown through the machine's point of view, as it scrolls back through past records. Each of the flashbacks are memories accessed through old video footage of the event itself. So these aren't just scene cuts. The machine seems to be accessing older files in order to draw connections or conclusions about the present. Sharp reasoning for a surveillance system. John continues to follow Joey and finds him handing off money to a blonde woman. Intrigue. He's also receiving money from a cab driver at his doorman job. Finch does Finch things and finds out the cab frequently stopped at the Green Zone, a bar owned by a former soldier, Sam Latimer, from Joey's same unit. Both a reference to the Governmental Center for the Provisional Government during the American invasion of Iraq in 2003, and a less-than-stellar performing Matt Damon movie. Figuring Latimer to be the gang's ringleader, John pulls some undercover moves to ask for work. Lucky for him, he speaks ex-soldier well enough to ingratiate himself with Latimer, but he still declines for the time being. Not to worry, of course, Finch plants guns in the cab guy's trunk and gets him arrested, so there's a job opening. I do feel bad for this guy. He is a criminal, but these are iffy ethics here. Anyway. Meanwhile, Carter gets some footage breadcrumbs of John at the robbery and wonders if he was their inside man.
You don't call us. We call you.
John joins the team. John watches Joey with his girlfriend, which sends him into a memory flashback so intense it changes the color grading. John runs into Jessica at the airport sporting an engagement ring that her fiancé didn't even bother to have fitted. That thing's definitely gonna fall off in the sink. There's some deeply awkward ex-talk before Jessica reminds John that he left.
But I think the truth is that it was easier for you to be alone.
Carter's military skills allow her to identify one of the radios as one she used to use.
In Iraq and Afghanistan.
Knowing that this type of radio is restricted to military personnel, she starts to hone in on the group. John sees Joey watching the blonde woman again, and this time she also has a kid. He then runs into Joey totally by accident at a bar, and Joey opens up pretty quickly for talking to a guy that he just met. Guess John just has a nice face.
I don't know, I'm a really nice person.
A couple of broadly portrayed bankers start to harass the veterans and butt heads. If I didn't know any better, I'd say John just likes getting in fights. Anyway, the bankers here feel like a clear stand-in for more of that big exploitative power and the people left behind, caught up in crime they wouldn't otherwise commit out of necessity. Latimer implies that the team might not make it out of the next hugely profitable heist. This job is an illegal gambling hideout. They start to fill up their bags with money, but John hears from Finch that the cops are coming. Straub gets pretty pissed, but they make it out. After some digging, the boys learn that the father of the little girl is an ex-comrade of Joey's, his quote, obligation since her father took an explosive meant for Joey, who took his patrol position. John, clearly learning from his past, tells Joey not to wait, but to be with his girlfriend now. He keeps playing couples therapist and meets up with Pia. Is it technically projecting if the thing being projected is true? John really must have a charming face because Pia shares with him too. She wonders if Joey will ever open up to her rather than keep living the war. Back at the precinct, Carter's investigating the team and figures out that Latimer's team never implodes because, well, it's never the same team. When the team runs its course, Latimer has them killed and replaced, as though they're interchangeable. Such a rotation is about to happen on the job John's on, but Harold isn't in time to warn him. John keeps trying to play the good robber, but it doesn't work this time. Straub insists on finishing the job, which happens to be acquiring an evidence file. Latimer shoots Straub and another guy and then escapes with the package. John tells Joey to get out of the city. Finally, Carter contacts John with her fancy new radio. Even without seeing each other face to face, the conversation is electric.
And that is how this ends. Sooner or later, I lock you up. Or find you bleeding out somewhere.
John sure keeps getting these ominous warnings. And in an interesting choice of words, she tells him he's playing a dangerous game, and she's not sure why. John tracks Latimer down, but his loot seems to have gotten him killed. At a bus station, Joey and Pia leave for Phoenix, with Reese watching from afar. So, Joey is a big flashing neon sign that says John Parallel. He came back with little opportunity, he's still fighting the war, but his girlfriend waited for him. We're given this through the color desaturated flashback stitched together as John reminisces from the shadows about his own life as he watches Joey figure out his. Jessica, the woman from the pilot and apparently one of Harold's first neglected irrelevant numbers, was engaged to another man and still told John that if he asked her to wait, she'd wait. And he does ask her to wait, but only for dramatic effect long after she's walked away.
Wait for me.
Can John reconcile with his past? Clearly, there are some skeletons of the not military variety still in his closet. Jessica said he pulled away so that she wouldn't get hurt if he died. Connection and grief risks too big for him to bank on, and now he's taken on another dangerous job that his employer states outright will likely kill him. It's definitely not the show's best job at finesse, but it's a good precedent for the idea of other people as mirrors, something that's going to continue for the rest of the season. Like we saw in Ghosts, it's much easier to give someone else the advice you need rather than take it. The episode is directed by Stephen DePaul and written by Patrick Harbinson. This is DePaul's only credit, but Patrick Harbinson goes on to write more episodes, including some truly spectacular ones. As for the title, mission creep is defined as, quote, the gradual shift in objectives during the course of a military campaign, often resulting in an unplanned, long-term commitment. This obviously refers to the various snafus while John is undercover with the ex-soldier criminals, as well as John's plans with Jessica eroding as he gets deeper into military work, which, as we know now, took him way farther than he wanted to go. The stumbles also alert Carter a little more to their trail, who now actually has some clues to go on. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the adorable standout moment that happens at the beginning of the episode.
If you're gonna work all night, you should try getting some exercise.
Hey, Finch. Finch, you there?
Yes. Is there a problem?
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Something I love about Person of Interest is how it never shies away from including these apparently optional character beats that breathe so much life into the scenes. Mission Creep also gives us this double Whopper with cheese of a line.
In the end, we're all alone. And no one's coming to save you.
But maybe that's no longer the case for the lucky numbers that have John to help them now. Lactaid popping as it might be, the line tells us a lot about John's currently bleak, cynical perspective on people in life. Not to mention, this philosophy has already been proved wrong by John's interactions with Harold and with Carter. Sometimes you're not alone, and occasionally someone does come to save you. I also really like the John undercover dynamic. It's one they'll use many times, and it's a great use of suspense and tension. John having to keep his cover, but seeing how far he pushes it to save people. It's also nice seeing how well John can blend in with criminals. But Joey's also a parallel to Finch. Turns out, Joey took on this dangerous gig to help support the child of an army friend who he believes died in his place. It's a survivor's guilt they seem to have in common, much like Finch's desire to save the numbers now. But the most interesting thing about the episode is the final heist, or specifically what's being stolen. The small evidence package, with the name Elias M. Whatever the evidence they stole may have contained, it's deadly to anyone near it. This Elias stuff must be pretty intense.